Thompson v. State download PDF check treatment summary. Finding T. He wider protective net case in a direct appeal by the paid presumption is inappropriate to a post-conviction claim of ineffective assistance of counsel. Summary of this case from Winslow v. Sec Y. Flaw. Deb T. of Core. C3 summaries delegate legal research to co-counsel, your new AI legal assistant. Try co-counsel free opinion. No. 4D10-4808. 2012-05-2. Charles Thompson, Appellant, v. State of Florida, Appellee. Charles Thompson, Belglade, Pro Se. No appearance required for Appellee. Per CURIAM. Charles Thompson, Belglade, Pro Se. No appearance required for Appellee, per CURIAM. We affirm the Circuit Court's summary denial of Appellant's Rule 3.850 motion for post-conviction relief. The claims raised in the motion lack merit. We write to address two of the claims and to clarify the legal standard that applies to post-conviction claims of ineffective assistance of counsel related to a defendant's competency to proceed to trial or to enter a plea. We affirm the denial of the remaining claims without discussion. Background: Appellant broke into the home of an 81-year-old woman and sexually battered her. He was convicted after jury trial of sexual battery and burglary of an occupied structure and sentenced to 2 consecutive 15-year sentences. This court affirmed on direct appeal. Thompson v. State, 995, SO.2D 979, Flaw. 4th DCA 2008, Table. In the claims at issue, Appellant first asserts that his trial counsel was ineffective in failing to request a competency evaluation and in failing to demand a competency hearing. Appellant also asserts that the trial court abused its discretion in failing to sua sponte conduct a competency hearing. The latter aspect of Appellant's claim is procedural in nature, but underlying both of these claims is an implication of actual incompetency to proceed at the time of trial, a so-called substantive incompetency claim. Analysis: an important distinction exists between procedural and substantive incompetency claims. See James v. Singletary.
So after I just announced how, what are people going to think whenever they find out that, that all fraudulent Michael Foot, raped an 11-month-old in the ass anally and killed the baby, and raped this 84-year-old woman anally, stole $40 out of her purse, and snatched the phone out of the wall and left. And I just announced how in my room, like talking like this in a regular voice, not would only spy where they could hear me, right? Pretty much testing them at the same time too. And then so as soon as I said, well, that's what I'm about to do right now, and as soon as I picked up my tablet, Alice Reese goes and slams the door to the bathroom. So I just wanted to document that.
State v. Holmes. Annotate this case: the State of South Carolina in the Supreme Court. The State Respondent v. Bobby Lee Holmes, Appellant. Appeal from York County. John C. Hayes, 3, Circuit Court Judge. Opinion number 25886, heard February 19, 2004, filed November 1, 2004. Justice Moore, appellant, was convicted 1 of murder, first-degree burglary, first-degree criminal sexual conduct, CSC, and robbery. He received a death sentence for the murder, the jury having found 3 statutory aggravating circumstances, 2, and received 3 concurrent sentences for the other offenses. 3. Appellant alleges errors occurred in both the guilt phase and the sentencing phase of his trial. We affirm appellant's convictions and sentences. Facts: at approximately 6:15 a.m. on December 31, 1989, the 86-year-old victim opened her door in response to someone's knocking. A black male forced his way into her apartment, beat her about the chest and head, and demanded money. The man forced the victim into her bedroom, where he ripped off her nightgown and anally raped her. He took $40 from her purse and left the apartment after ripping the living room phone from the wall. At 7:45 a.m., the victim's friend, Mrs. Thrasher, phoned to check on the victim. After 6 or 7 rings, the victim answered and told Mrs. Thrasher she had been beaten, anally raped, and robbed. Mrs. Thrasher called another friend, Mrs. Byers, who had an automobile and a key to the victim's apartment. Mrs. Byers went to the apartment, noticed it was messy, spoke with the victim, who told her the assailant was big and dark, and then drove to the police department since the living room phone had been pulled off the wall. 4. The first officer on the scene was Dale Edwards. The victim told him that around 6 or 6:30 a.m. she heard knocking at her front door, and that when she opened the door, a black male forced his way in. She had taken a shower before the police arrived. Officer Edwards removed the sheets and pillowcase from the bed for use as evidence, and placed the items in a paper grocery bag taken from the victim's kitchen. Lieutenant Barnett arrived and assisted in the evidence collection. A pink nightgown, a house coat, and a rag were removed from the bathroom and placed in another grocery bag. The victim gave Officer Edwards a pink paper towel with blood on it that he placed in a manila envelope brought to the scene by Captain Mobley, the third officer on the scene. While the 3 police officers were there, 2 paramedics arrived to transport the victim to a local hospital emergency room. Blood samples were taken, but a rape kit was not processed because the victim was complaining of hip pain and medical personnel were awaiting x-rays before performing the exam. The blood testing kit used to take samples from the victim had expired several months earlier. 5. Before the victim's mental state began to deteriorate, she described her attacker to an emergency room nurse as a black male in his late 20s.
So now I see why Alice Reese went and slammed the door to the bathroom. Because it's actually Alice Reese, not Michael Foot. Either way, it probably still would have, but this maybe not. It might not have either. And this is why it did specifically. Also, it didn't tell that woman that he has AIDS either. Again, that's what they do. They go rape people and children and newborns and, you know. If they ever mention their herpes, they don't mention nothing about they have AIDS. And God knows what else, man. And these are the consequences for what it's doing right now. Spying on me, bro. Disrespecting a real prophet of God, bro. These are the consequences, bro. This is just the beginning. Bro. This isn't really consequences. This is just the beginning, bro, of their punishment, bro. Their punishment hadn't even started. Bro. And their punishment never ends. Bro. And they deserve it. Because they never stop. Bro. Ever. Never. I found out last night that they got hundreds, because they do these YouTube videos, that they got hundreds of wires running through their house that goes into Alice's closet, I'm pretty sure, and for spy cameras in the walls in the house, bro. Including the bathroom and my bedroom. Which I already knew that, but I didn't know they had hundreds. Bro. And this is why, if I plug in, like, what did I have? If I like plug in like my soldering iron and my heater at the same time, it flips the breaker, and this is why, because they're taking so much power from my receptacles in my walls to power up their cameras, bro, that they got all up in my bedroom, bro. I then found, what, 3, 4, or 5 in my closet, blinking lights, bro. Using my other camera that I have, I found them. I put tape over them, but there's still a lot, bro. And they refuse to stop, bro. And to go out of their way every day and let me know that they can see me. Like, I went and grabbed a bag of chips, right? Which he could have looked and seen which bag I grabbed, but, you know, but maybe not either, because he had, like, I think more than one of the same kind down there. But anyway, just to make okay, so I go to his room, and he's eating he has the same bag of chips I have. And says, oh, you know, there's all types of chips down there. You could go pick any ones you want, right? Knowing damn well I already had a bag in my room. And you know, it just does shit like that to let me know every day that it refuses to stop spying on me, right? Especially after I read the Bible to them about what God's warned them is about to happen. Not only do they continue doing what they're doing and get worse, but they let it be known. They don't care what I have to say or God has to say. They're going to do what they want to do. They got their own agenda. So be it. Just like Michael says, so be it. Bigot, faggot, piece of dog shit. And Alice says, it's the last person you think it is. As it just brought me poison fucking food again after I ordered food, and it redirected my shit and went and got my food instead of the person who was supposed to, bro. And made sure it poisoned it, bro. Again. Then came back home slamming the door today with a fucking attitude, bro. Like it had been poisoned, bro. And Michael, who just poisoned me, bro, slams the fucking door when I ask him did he do something to my food, which I think he did. He was standing right over it. But slams the fucking... I'm still sick from the night before, bro. And slams the fucking door in my face like an attitude, bro. Like, how dare me accuse him of such things, bro. Pieces of fucking faggot dog shit. Understatement, bro. I need to get back into my account. I changed my number, but I can't. Because every time I go to talk to the people at customer service, I get redirected to one of them. And they refuse to help me. They just try to keep me busy for the long... I just talk... And I have it recorded, right? I ask them what their name is. They don't even want to tell me their fucking names. And then they, oh, we'll call you back. They don't call me back. I'm not talking to customer service. I'm talking to them again, bro. I learned back in New Orleans, 9-10 years ago, that all my phone calls are being redirected to a fucking gang stalker, bro. To them. To these fucking faggots, bro. Well, I'm so glad they about to die, bro. And you can see the time up there that was, when I said that was accurate information, that they're about to die. Of course, the Bible says the same thing, right? Plus, my premonitions I've had says the same thing. Plus, other people's premonitions I've heard recently have said the same thing. From real prophets, right? So there's your Evanescence, your DJ Alice. And if that woman wouldn't have died from pneumonia, she would have found out she had AIDS and herpes and shit, right? What a stupid fucking faggot, man. And they never learn. That's your Joyce Myers, your Candy Christmas. Your news, every news person on the fucking news, bro. When they say, oh, back to you, whoever she's like, it's her again. Him again, I mean. Who committed the murder? The news person talking. He did. Telling you about a trial because he's bragging about the person he blamed it on. But he the one killed him. Right? The same one offering $100,000 for the whereabouts of certain people, like Robert Fisher, or the same person who actually killed them. The DJ Alice Fisher in the FBI, Mary Fisher, bro. The only person who stood up for was it Barry, the one who got arrested, the Barry that got arrested. I think Barry, I don't know the last name, but got arrested in a hotel with a young kid or something. It had crack and stuff, and the only person that stood up for him was that faggot right there. And there you have it. Now we see why it slammed the bathroom door. While it's behind this fucking spyware even right now and will not fucking stop.